Welcome back to the YouTube, everybody. Today we are going to do a Q&A, going through questions that I got on my Instagram from a question box. I've always wondered why I've never set up NGL, but I think it's because I'm just too scared. I feel like my resilience isn't in a good place enough yet to be getting anonymous questions. So thanks to all the friends who submitted questions for me. But either way, we're going to work through the questions that I was asked. Majority are prep related, which I feel like I always get more questions when I'm on prep anyways, just because it seems to be more exciting, or people are generally just more interested in you when you are on prep. But either way, the first one being, who are my bikini pro idols? I feel like it's very rare that I don't, not necessarily like not idolize bikini pros, but I do have such an appreciation for so many of them. However, I do have my standouts. Number one being Phoebe Hagen. I feel like, I don't know whether or not it was because she was one of the first that I discovered on YouTube. I love her. I love her personality. She has so much personality. Same thing goes with Laura Lee. They both have so much personality. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love Jen, I love everybody else. However, personality wise, when you're trying to stay engaged with them and their like journeys, I feel as though I gravitate towards Laura Lee and Phoebe. I also love, and I'm a die-hard fangirl of Kerry Sexton. I'm also a die-hard fangirl of like Megan Sylvester, or Chellan now, I'm pretty sure you pronounce their last name like that. Even though she was a bikini pro that moved to figure, I love the UK bodybuilding scene. I love their sort of lifestyle, their way of training. It aligns a lot more, I would say, than a lot of the other bikini pros, and that's why I love Kerry Sexton's content, because she trains hard. She doesn't do sets of like 500 reps with all these random sort of wacky as frig exercises. It's just like she trains well, she trains hard, she eats, and I just much prefer sort of that way of going about everything. So yeah, I would say they are the ones who are my sort of favorites. Another question being my favorite thing about prep. I feel as though this prep has been quite different to my last one. In my last one, it was like I still enjoyed the process, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I hit a point whereby it was, okay, I feel quite fatigued right now. I'm just going to complain about feeling fatigued, and it's just part of it. Like, I know I'm going to feel even more fatigued for the remainder of the prep. I'm not going to do anything about it. And I think this time coming, I obviously know that I'm going to feel probably 10 times shitter than I did last time, because my prep is so long. But I feel like my mindset surrounding everything, I'm really trying to sit in it. And I'm always driving, just like thinking of like little affirmations and whatnot. And I was driving to work this morning thinking that like I would have died if like 2 years ago you told me that this is what I was doing, and this is what my prep looked like, and these are the opportunities that I have. So I think my favorite thing about prep is that literally had nothing to do about my favorite thing about prep. I don't know what the frig I'm going on about, but I would say my favorite thing about prep is seeing myself evolve as a person. So like comparing my last prep to how I am now in regards to everything, comparing mentally how much I've evolved, and seeing an increase in like my self-belief, and even my productivity is so different compared to what it was on my last prep. I was such a lazy little anyways. But yeah, this prep around, it's just showing myself how much I can do and what I'm capable of. This is gonna sound so Debbie Downer and just so like depressing, but I feel as though until my first prep, I had always not necessarily half-assed things, but I had never like completed something and been like, yep, okay, this makes me feel really good about myself. I really pushed myself. Like through school, I didn't, I rode competitively, and don't get me wrong, like I was extremely like regimented with it, and I did that for years and years and years, but I never like fully gave it my all. And I definitely didn't get near as much sort of personal gratification out of it than I do bodybuilding. So I feel like that's my favorite thing. It's just showing myself what I can do. And even when I first started training, that's the biggest thing. And I rant on about this all the time, about how training and training well has been the one thing that I can pinpoint as what has really changed me as a person and how I perceive myself. So I feel like prep just ramps that up 100 times. And I love routine. I love the structure. So I feel like in the prep environment, like I just love it. I love a challenge. But either way, moving on. Sultan asked me, how are you in general, your mental health, physical health, etc. Love heart hands. I feel like I'm really good. Like I genuinely feel really good. I felt as though I would reach a point in prep whereby I would update people more on how like shit I feel. I'm starting to slowly feel sort of some level of fatigue kick in. However, I just keep reminding myself that one, I'm like 19 weeks out from my last show, so I can't be getting all in the dumps about feeling fatigued now. So I obviously like relay that feedback to Michael. However, I just don't dwell on it. Like, get over it. Like, I chose to be here. I have so many weeks left. If I get stuck in this mindset of being tired, and other things like my work and anything has to slip, like I will inevitably fail, and this will be an extremely shit experience. So mentally I feel good because I feel like how I'm coping with everything's a lot better. Like I have a better outlook in regards to everything. Physical health is pretty solid too. I had recent bloods done which tested my thyroid, which was had been slightly impacted by the prep so far. So Michael's making some adjustments in regards to supplementation to sort of help with that. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good for like where I'm at. I think just in general, ever in life, not necessarily I feel the best I've ever felt, but I definitely don't feel like don't feel good. I feel like that made no fucking sense, but you get the picture. Any whoozy woozies, more questions. What does my food and my cardio look like right now? So food wise, my meals have been, I think, the same since like the start of prep. I think we've only made one adjustment, and that was a couple little ones, like removing salmon and removing potato, replacing it with rice in one of my meals. But aside from that, it's been pretty much the same thing the whole entire way through. So my meal 1 is chicken, rice, veg. My meal 2 is chicken, rice, veg. My meal 3 is extra lean beef mince, 100 grams of cucumber, 100 grams of lettuce. And then my meal 4 is a smoothie, which is coconut water, protein, mango, pineapple, banana, raspberries, chia seeds, and ABC spread. And I have 20 grams of dark chocolate as well with my first meals. But that's consistent both training and non-training days. We did have a time over like the last sort of 3 weeks whereby I was doing a higher carbohydrate day on my Fridays to really support my training, my delt training on my Fridays. However, we have removed that, which I'm like more than happy with. I genuinely don't care about what I'm doing in regards to cardio and food. I would rather be seeing progress and suffering through that than getting on stage and thinking I feel as though we could have done more, or my feedback being something related to like not being conditioned enough, therefore I could have done more. Cardio wise, I'm currently doing 6 sessions of 40 minutes, which was recently increased from my last check-in. I was doing 6 sessions of 30 minutes, and that's been pretty consistent throughout the entirety of the prep. So the one day I don't do any cardio is my Sunday. I don't do any cardio, I don't train. I've just had my cardio pulled out for the rest of this week as well, so I'm just doing my steps and just my training, and then back to normal from Monday. But I feel like when it comes to cardio, initially when it was implemented, I was really enjoying the short sessions. However, now I wouldn't say that I dread them at all. It's just like they're not like the most enjoyable thing in the world. However, I don't think like, fuck, like I genuinely can't be stuffed doing this ever. Like I finish the 40 minutes, I get to like 35 minutes, and I think if Michael told me to do an extra 40, I probably wouldn't have an issue with it. The only thing I'm concerned about is like getting to work late. So I feel like that's a good position to be in. A couple questions regarding my relationship with food and how do you deal with sort of your previous eating habits and now competing. I would say in regards to improving my relationship with food and getting to a point whereby I can compete, it would be completely naive of me to say that I am so healed in a way that nothing ever like creeps in my mind that relates to like disordered eating habits. And I think that you have to be extremely naive to think that it is healthy to obviously do a competition prep and it doesn't in some way, not necessarily promote disordered eating, but it does in some way. Obviously there's a high level of restriction, even just like your food variety, whatnot, they sort of not feed into each other, but it is, they sort of not bounce off each other. I don't really know how to explain it, but overall, it took me a very, very long time to improve my relationship with food. However, the main difference in regards to improving my relationship with food was getting rid of the main sort of trigger which initially triggered me and started like the very disordered habits like purging and everything like that. Once that was removed, majority of everything sort of dissipated. Don't get me wrong, like mentioned, sometimes I feel like stressed and I feel like I just want to eat whatever I want. Do I do that? Absolutely not. I haven't felt that way whatsoever during this prep, but even like I could be peak off season and something really sets me off and like it is just still a little bit a part of me to sort of rely on food for emotional support. In regards to improving this, however, obviously addressing triggers was a major thing for me, like managing stress, managing my emotions, finding different outlets. Another thing being like, stop freaking dieting. If you have a shit relationship with food, stop dieting. If you constantly think about food, if you can't stick to a plan and your adherence is literal rat shit, like stop dieting. Sit at maintenance. You don't have to be restricting intake. You are simply just gonna will probably just delay the fat loss or the results that you're looking for anyways. The biggest thing for me was spending so much time being uncomfortable on the other end of the spectrum, whereby my body fat sat a little bit higher, but I learned to be uncomfortable with that, and I understood and wrapped my head around that like being uncomfortable is literally like the whole philosophy behind bodybuilding. Like if I can't be uncomfortable, if I can't make myself uncomfortable, if I can't push for both mental and physical growth, like this isn't for me. So I feel like that really helped too. Next question, bikini color. Okay, so originally my first bikini I got was red, which I'm getting my connectors adjusted so that I do also have the option to wear my red bikini, but I went for a blue. What the blue looks like, I'm not exactly sure because I just rocked up to Stacey from 67 Bikinis, showed her a couple photos, and I just got so overwhelmed that I just thought, fuck it, like you just do, my hair's going to be blonde, you just do whatever you think is best. And that's what she's done. I haven't seen it yet, so all I know is it's some interpretation of blue. To be honest, I don't really care. As long as it looks good, I don't care what the color is, as long as it's not some like crazy color. Like I'm definitely not a fan of like the super vibrant bright colors that you often see in the natural federations. I'm even like sometimes skeptical of like pinks. I'm very much so. I like the traditional colors. I like what I know is not going to be criticized whatsoever by the judges, or they're not going to look at that and they're not going to think, like, where does her tan start? Where does her bikini finish? Anything like that. I just want basic, whatever, doesn't add any like extra variables, basic colors. So I went for a blue, but I do have the two to swap between. Alrighty, what competitions am I competing in? So originally we had the idea of doing the, the New South Wales show, which is the first IFBB show for season A 2024. However, we've moved that back, and my first show will be the Victoria show, which is the weekend afterwards. So the Victoria State IFBB show the next weekend. Once I finish that show, I am in Melbourne for a couple of days, and then I fly to Queensland. I'm in Queensland then for that weekend, which is the Queensland IFBB state show, which I will be doing as well. And then we stay in Queensland for another weekend after that, because Michael has a competitor up in Queensland doing her shows the weekend after. So we'll be there for that. And then I think 2 weekends or something along the lines, we then have the IFBB Nationals, which is back in Vic. 4 weeks after that, we then go to Spain, whereby I'm doing the Amateur Olympia in Spain. And then that's sort of the end of my season. So total, I have 4. The total weeks in which I'm in prep, I honestly can't remember, but it's a lot. So I'm 19 weeks out from my last show, and I'm pretty positive I've been in prep now for... Let me think. The light in front of me is so bright I can't think straight. Shit, I don't even know. Maybe like 13 or 14 weeks already, and then I've got like a total of 19 left. So I would have been in prep for a very long time by the time everything sort of finishes. But I'm super excited because when we are overseas as well, Michael also has a competitor who's competing in the UK. So we get to go to the UK, we get to go to Ultra Flex, and we just get to sort of really channel like the inner bodybuilder in Europe sort of vibe. So I'm super excited. What made me want to transition to the IFBB? So I feel as though when I first got introduced to the whole bodybuilding side of everything, again, I was following people like Kuba and even like AJ Moras, who's like a natural competitor in the UK. And then I got into people like Phoebe, who's from the UK as well, Kerry Sexton again, and then started like branching out, watching all of their content, branching out into like the American bikini girls and then the Australian ones. And I feel as though Michael just like sprung the idea upon me of like, oh, like maybe you should compete, or maybe like if it's something that you want to do, you may as well. And then I thought, you know what? Like I've been following these people prior to even like meeting Michael. So I had already like in my brain that I loved bodybuilding. I loved the training. I loved all of it. And then obviously once I started seeing Michael and then getting into all of the training and whatnot myself a little bit more, with more structure, I knew that my goal was never to stay within the natural federations. I knew that my goal was to move to the IFBB. So when I first competed, I've said this before, I always thought about those federations as being a stepping stone into the IFBB, because I knew that I didn't want to stay in those federations. I wanted to do whatever it took to get into the IFBB, and now I'm like right at the start of the IFBB. So I have like endless years. Like I literally look at my journey as like another like decade or more in which I'll be competing. So I'm like right at the start of it. But posing style, overall like how the shows are run, judging wise, like just the integrity, the fact that it's recognized more so in regards to like international shows. Nothing really appealed to me about the natural federations. It was always just like, I just need to get my foot in the door, and then I want to be competing in the IFBB. Like, I don't like the quarter turn shit that they do in the natural federations. Like, I want complete like profession, like I want to eventually be like an athlete. Like, I want to treat myself, regardless of whether or not I get a pro card, like I want to treat myself as a pro, if that makes sense, in that federation. So it's always just something that I've aspired to sort of get into. But yeah, I never looked at, say, like ICN and whatnot as being something that I wanted to stay in. It was always to use that as like to test whether or not I could prep, whether or not it was really something for me or something that I genuinely enjoyed in regards to the journey. And then I would do whatever I needed to do, make the improvements to then move up into the IFBB. Alrighties. Why am I not doing ICN? Because I don't want to, I guess. Like, sort of touching on the last thing that I just said. Because I don't want to and I can't. In regards to another question, how do you deal with working for Michael and being coached by him? Okay, so, you know what? It works. I would say it works quite well. So not only am I, like, I work for my partner, we obviously do like literally everything together. I'm coached by him. Recently we've seen such a shift in our business whereby instead of me sort of working for him as such, it's much more collaborative now, and like my position in the business is to say manage the other coaches and manage whoever's sort of doing the admin work, and all he does is coach, and then I manage the admin alongside managing the other coach who does the admin, and then James also does like his coaching stuff and whatnot. So it's very much so now, like, he doesn't tell me what to do, but we've just gotten to a point whereby I'm very self-sufficient. I know everything, like, back and forth. I know what needs to be done. So as long as, like, on my end everything's getting done and I'm pushing for more and more and more, then like it works quite well and it has improved. Don't get me wrong, like, it is sometimes difficult not having much separation. However, in saying that, like, outside of work hours, the time we spend with each other, most couples, I know probably most girlfriends would be like, that's fucked, like, you hardly see each other, which is true. And obviously whilst we're at work, it's still like professional, but at the end of the day, like, right now it's working. In my prep setting, it's working. I'm happy with my work. I still look at him as an authority figure in regards to being coached by him. So like, there's no real like back and forths, even though with my prep it is still quite collaborative in regards to, like, I do my training, he does my like nutrition and whatnot, but in regards to like criteria and everything, I just give him like more insight than what a normal sort of coach to client relationship would. But yeah, it seems to work quite well, I feel as though. Yeah, I don't know how else to answer that question. It works well. When we sort of, if we were to like, I don't know, it just works well. Yeah, I feel like we're both very much so on the same page in regards to the business, which recently I've gotten a lot more onto the same page like with him, because obviously it provides us with the opportunity to travel for clients, to follow clients and to support clients sort of aspirations if they want to say travel overseas. So we're very much so on the same page, like willing to put in lots of hours, sacrifice like our own personal time for everything. So yeah, it works well. Not to mention, even like with the coaching stuff, I always have more than his pair of eyes on me. Like, James's eyes look over me. He's got his coach who will look over my progress photos. He's got other coaches too who he's really close with, who look over my stuff as well. So it's never just insight from purely him. It is still quite collaborative. Hardest part of prep. This prep so far, not much, I would say. I feel as though, if anything, like my productivity with work, training, I haven't really hit a wall in my training yet. I haven't gotten to a point whereby I'm half-assing my training at all, like whatsoever. I definitely wouldn't say that there is a massive part of prep that is hard. The only thing that I'm currently struggling with is managing an element of self-care throughout the prep when it comes to like the recovery side of everything, because I work from Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday, if say I do happen to see a friend, which is something that rarely ever happens, I can find it hard to like prioritize little things, like say if I wanted to get a massage or spend a day like walking along the beach, like stuff like that really doesn't happen right now, which I know I really need to push more into. I need to stop, I need to sit in this and again like reflect on the fact that like I asked to be here. I like was counting down the days in my off season to start prep, so I want to ensure that it doesn't just flash before my eyes. I really want to live through every moment regardless of how difficult it is. But yeah, hardest part of prep I think is just managing stress, which I'm a lot better at now because I'm a lot more productive. But yeah, just feeling like I have, not necessarily feeling like I have a life out of prep. It's more so just like finding time to do something for myself. But I definitely haven't hit at any point in prep that like I consider anything to be hard. Like meals, yes, I feel hungry. Is it hard? No. Cardio, am I always like enthusiastic? No. Is it hard? No. So yeah, everything's pretty cruisy so far. Posing icks. I literally just had a client come in for posing and she was worried about seeing other posing coaches like add like all this flair and stuff. My biggest posing icks is doing too much. I'm very much so someone who prefers simple, elegant posing, similar posing to what you aspire to be like. If you want to like be a good IFBB bikini girl, like pose similar in like the similar flowing, very simple way that you see majority of like the pros pose like. They don't add all this random shit in. I hate touching, I hate like swiping. Like it's not a strip show. We're not watching corn. So I love simple posing with flow, not too sexualized, like classy but not like but aside from that, no arms. But I feel like that's more so just a natural fed thing. You never really see anyone in the IFBB pose with like teapot arms or anything like that anymore. So yeah, but aside from that, I don't really have any big posing icks. Either way, if one of the girls comes in and they pose and something's bad, I just say it straight. So usually anything like that is adjusted quite quickly. How is this prep different? I feel like I've sort of already covered this, but my whole entire perception in regards to prep in general, like I chose to be here. I want to ensure that I live through this prep. And again, like, I don't know why it makes me emotional talking about it, but like, I can't even imagine living my life without sort of living it in the way that I do now. And I'm so grateful for obviously like the people around me, especially Michael, who like is genuinely like the reason why I'm literally sitting here doing this video right now. But just, yeah, I feel like this prep is different because I've like had so many opportunities and like we've worked so hard to get to a point whereby like we can travel and we can do, say, international shows, and I'm just trying to sit in that and be super grateful and just absorb the whole entire process, as opposed to wishing for it to like be over even through the hard times. Just more of an understanding of like truly what it takes to be extremely competitive, and just consistently reiterating to myself that like I don't want to just be like this when I'm in prep. Like, although I was still extremely regimented, I don't think I missed a single training session in my off season. I never missed steps. Like, I never skipped meals in my off season, anything like that. Okay, let's stop for a second. But as I was saying, although like I never really missed a beat throughout my off season, I probably put on too much fat than I should have, but like although I didn't really miss any beats, I still want to be super professional. Like, if I have aspirations to potentially like win a pro card, and hopefully I can like insert this part of the video in like a couple years into a video or a reel when I like have this big card above my head, but I just want to live like that. Like, I feel like I found the thing in life, like my coaching, everything that I just love. So I want to ensure that I don't waste any potential, or I don't waste any time. I'm just on it. But either way, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any further questions, or you would like me to do a Q&A again, or a Q&A with like Michael, Q&A or James, leave either questions in the comments, or send us a message. Bye.